roll to determine a quorum.
Alderperson Probst.
Here.
Reinke.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
Shaplewski. Haas.
Here.
Lasik.
Here.
May.
Here.
10 present, none excused.
We have a quorum. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Alderperson Probst this evening. Moving on to item D in our agendas, we have two public hearings this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
Public hearing on a resolution relative to determination of a special use permit for the proposed Pick and Save Fuel Center to be located within the parking lot of the existing Pick and Save at 6760 West National Avenue.
Mr. Stiebel?
Mr. Chairman, there are about 1,200 Krogers throughout the United States, and they've recently bought the Pick and Save brand, and they're going to be introducing some of their concepts into this system here, and one of them is a fuel center, which they're proposing to have on the southern part of the site. The existing Pick and Save is right here, and this is the shopping center. What they're proposing to do is do a fuel center, sort of a mini gas station sort of thing. Because the zoning is C3, it requires a public hearing, and that's the purpose of the public hearing tonight. The entire site is about 10 acres. They're going to carve off a half acre. There'll be 5 fuel stations with 10 hoses each, and the hours are 6 to midnight, same as a grocery store. I'll be able to pump 24/7 from that location. The parking is 2 parking stalls will be required. 390 are required for the entire shopping center, and they're essentially overparked with about 580 parking stalls. On the half acre itself, it's going to be some very good landscaping around the perimeter of the property, which we really appreciate. And because they are putting into a gas station, technically we could also look at the rest of the site, and we're going to be looking at some of those issues in a moment here. In this fuel center, they're also going to be putting a walkway from the street to be able to get into the property. They're also talking about an unspecified, and this will be held tonight at the council meeting. It'll be referred back to the Plan Commission, but they're talking about doing some feature along the railroad tracks here, maybe a mural or some landscaping. One of the bigger issues with this is that when this was developed, we weren't looking at four-sided architecture, and now we've got a blank, unarticulated wall. We're going to have to do something along the east side of the building to help it become part of a newer, exciting neighborhood to the east of it, which is the Aurora project that's under construction, and then the apartment buildings, which will hopefully start construction later this spring. We're also doing some additional landscaping on the property, so we're going to get some additional features, and we're just trying to get enough additional stuff to make it worth the city's while to have a fuel center at this location. This is the concept of what it would look like on the site. One of the things that the Pick and Save folks are talking about is trying to match it to the existing building, and that's what this concept here is. And we're suggesting that that center itself is going to evolve, and we're going to see something a lot nicer, more modern architecture, and we want to have this fuel center replicate what our future is going to be, such as more brick and brick pilasters around the building, those sorts of things. And so we're going to be sending this back to the Plan Commission to hopefully enhance it and make it fit better into our existing environment. This is a sketch of what it would be. The kiosk is just a small little building. The person that's in there, the people won't go in there to buy anything. Pick and Save will probably have an employee in there counting coupons or something to pass the time, but most of it will be done just on the pumps as they come in and out. The Plan Commission tabled this item and to ask them to go back to the ownership to look at broadening their vision, and that's what they're going to do. So this, the purpose of the public hearing is to complete this today, that the Common Council will hold this matter until after the Plan Commission makes their findings and recommendation. If you have any additional questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there any members of the Common Council that have questions on this item? Seeing none, are there any members of the audience that have questions on this item? If you could come up to the podium, give us your name and address, and please sign in after your comments.
My name is John Carroll. I live at 719 South 92nd Street. And my question is simply, has there been any environmental studies done to the proposed property as far as any environment issues that may cause problems or endanger with fuel or leakage or any contaminants from a previous use?
I could answer that after the public hearing, but the answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other members of the audience that have comments or questions on our first public hearing this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 1, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
A public hearing on a resolution relative to determination of special use permit for Antigua Latin Restaurant LLC to relocate to 6207 West National Avenue.
Mr. Stiebel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the city's marquee restaurants, Antigua, is going to be moving from their current location on Burnham and 59th Street and moving to 62nd National, which is the former home of Thompson Bakery, which has been in and out and mostly vacant over a long period of time. So they'll be moving from Burnham to National Avenue, helping reinforce the revitalization that's happening in the Six Points neighborhood. The zoning for this property is C3, which requires a public hearing for a restaurant to move in, and that's the purpose of this hearing this evening. The restaurant will seat about 50 people, so it'll be about the same size as the old restaurant. Hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 10 to 10 on Friday and Saturday. For the purposes of this hearing, we've listed them as 8 to 11 to allow them some flexibility. The parking would require 16 parking spaces for the restaurant and 2 for the apartment, and 42 spaces are provided in the public parking lot immediately adjacent to the site. The floor plan is about 3,000 total square feet, with 2,700 being devoted to the kitchen and to the restaurant area. And this is National Avenue on the left. And then there's an apartment on the back side of the building, and also basement storage. They'll be making some significant improvements to the look and feel of the building. They'll be doing some painting of the building that's not brick, particularly the stucco areas, or not block, not brick, I should say. It's block and stucco. The coping and the overhang will be repainted to steel gray, and so it's going to be a very attractive building. As I mentioned, it's surrounded by parking, and this is the building here. So there's also off-street parking, and then across the street on the other side of the former Palace Theater, now the Apostolic Church, is another public parking lot. So there's a lot of parking in the neighborhood. The Plan Commission approved this on the February 27th meeting, and we've received no objections to date. If you have any questions, I or a representative of the owner would be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there any questions from the members of the Common Council on this item?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel?
John, could I ask you to just go back to the west elevation? I just wanted to, I walk by there 3 times a week. I just wanted to see so new windows and just repainting on the west side? Okay.
Correct.
So-
Windows are going to really be opening it up a lot, not only from the interior, but also from the exterior. So it's going to be it's going to be a welcoming addition to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the Common Council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Barzak?
John, my understanding is that they'll only be closed like a short period of time, a week or 2. Is that correct?
That what?
They'll only be closed about a week or 2 as they're moving across?
They're going to be opening in July, I think.
Are both locations going to be open for a period of time?
Yep.
The goal is to close the current location on June 30th and be open up for business on July 6th. So it's only 1 week.
I can wait that long, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, seeing none, are there any members of the audience that have questions or comments on this item?
Hi, my name is Rich Libby. I have Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center. Antigua's moving in next to my, one of my showrooms. And I'd just like to go on record as welcoming him to the neighborhood. We're really glad to see him moving in.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the members of the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will close our second public hearing, and we will move on to item E on our agendas, which is citizen participation. This is the opportunity for residents to address the council on any matters of interest to them. We ask that you keep your comments to approximately 5 minutes and also use the microphone up on the podium. Is there anybody that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Lynn Marie Coots, and I am a massage therapist who practices throughout the state of Wisconsin. And I am here related to Ordinance 9.035, the massage parlor ordinance. I would like to thank you for the passage of 9.036, requiring a license for the practice of massage in the city. The American Massage Therapy Association is currently working towards passage of a state statute that would make first-time hiring a non-licensed therapist a misdemeanor and second offense within 5 years a felony. And so we doubt it's going to pass this year. We did pick up, it's been introduced in the Assembly as Assembly Bill 899. But we did not get a sponsor for the Senate. We got a late start in this session, so we do hope to bring it back again next session as well. Our concern with 9.035, which we understand is going to be reviewed in one of the committees, is that there are portions of that law that regulate the establishment of a massage practice. And I know that you haven't been enforcing it since the state passed a statute saying that there couldn't be a local regulation of the practice of massage, but there are many items in those ordinances that do apply to the establishment. And many of those, I don't know of any massage therapist here that has an establishment that it could not potentially put out of business were those to come into being enforced. There's quite a few massage therapists here. If you wanted to raise your hands and wave if you're here about massage. And so my ask is quite simple. Please reconsider it, repeal the entire thing, or at minimum, revise it to take out and make it a reasonable ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Is there anybody else that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
Good evening, my name is Jeff Montoya, and I am the owner of Milwaukee Reiki, which is a massage business located at 67th and Greenfield Avenue. And I would just like to say I'm here to support the recommendations that Lynn made. As a massage therapist and a business owner, I think it is important for that ordinance to be updated and for the very antiquated parts to be repealed or updated. I am also the chair of the massage therapy department at the Aveda Institute of Beauty and Wellness here in Milwaukee and the Aveda Institute in Madison. So I oversee 2 massage departments and am very familiar with the best practices in massage, and those ordinances do not reflect the best practices at all. And if you would like some expert consultation on revision, I would be happy to offer that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the council under citizen participation?
Hello,
Hello, my name is Danielle Hopkins. I am the owner of Lululemon Aesthetic Boutique, again, located on 64th in Greenfield, and I am here as well to just support some of these ordinances to be relooked at, revoked. As Lynn and Jeff stated, it can and will take businesses out of business and limit massage therapists to be able to work within the city if they're not relooked at. I've been only open for about a year. It's almost been a year since the last time I was here, getting funding from the city with projections that, projections to be able to pay those funding back with being able to have massage in my place of business. And if these aren't relooked at and aren't revoked, it will, make a huge difference in what those projections look like, and it'll make a huge difference on what my staff looks like. It'll make a huge difference on if I can survive as a business. So I do really consider you guys to relook at that when it comes to revoking some of those practices.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
Good evening. Again, I'm Citlali Mendieta with Antigua Restaurant, and just want to share with you that we're very excited to continue the growth of our business in the city. After being here for 12 years, we were looking for a new home, and we are just happy that we found it within our city, within our same district, and we're just looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're glad you're here and staying here. Is there anybody else in the audience that has questions or comments under citizen participation? Okay, seeing none, we will close citizen participation. And we will move to item F on our agendas, which will tell you where our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on page 2 of the agendas. Moving to item G, the mayor's report. A couple of things tonight. I want to officially welcome the Peanut Butter and Jelly Deli, which opened up at 6125 West Greenfield last Monday. I was told on Saturday morning they had a line out the door 20 people deep of people waiting for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so they must have some quite amazing food. I want to thank all of the schools in the West Allis, West Milwaukee School District that hosted Dr. Seuss Read Across America events. I know a lot of us were in several of the schools reading to the kids, which is always fun. I want to offer another round of congrats to the ladies basketball program at Nathan Hale. They did lose, unfortunately, to Oak Creek, but they had one heck of a season, winning their conference again and putting their program back on the map in high school sports. I also want to congratulate Peyton Mako, who was here a year ago as a state champ in wrestling. He repeated, and he also avenged his only loss of the season. And he is going, I believe, to Missouri to wrestle in college. And there were also 2 wrestlers who went to West Allis Central who qualified for NCAA wrestling championships. Dylan Diebitz at UW Stevens Point, and another young man who was here as a state champ from Central, I think 2 or 3 years ago, Mark Chowinski, qualified for NCAA at UW Oshkosh. So I just want to offer congratulations to all of those athletes. That does conclude the mayor's report this evening. Do we have any alderpersons' reports?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council regular meeting of February 20th, 2018.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion or amendments to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving to item J, I'll ask for a motion to place items 4, 5, 6, and 7, send those to the city attorney.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Alderman Weigel, second by Alderman May. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item K is standing committee reports this evening, of which we have none.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderperson Reinke. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in recess.